everyone, Ryan here at eTrailer. Today on our 2018 Toyota RAV4, we're going to be showing you how to install the EcoHitch Trailer Hitch Receiver. Before we do that though, let's take a minute, check it out, and make sure it's going to be the right hitch for you. When it comes to the RAV4, it's an awesome SUV. They're really capable and really popular. Because of that, people use them to do a lot of different things, whether you plan on pulling a trailer around, using accessories, or a little bit of both. This hitch is going to allow you to get that job done. There are quite a few hitches available for the RAV4, and I like to break them down in two categories. So you have your more visible style ones, which are going to more or less hang below the car, and you'll see that whole cross tube. Then you have your more hidden type ones, like our EcoHitch here. There's a Curt and a Draw-Tite that are similar to this as well, where with those, you're just going to be able to see the receiver tube opening, so a little bit cleaner look. With that said, even the visible hitches don't look terrible by any means. You know, they look right at home on the back of the RAV4, especially the eTrailer one has more of a matte black finish, and I think blends in a little bit better. But if appearance is really important, you know, the EcoHitch, the Curt one, or the Draw-Tite one would be a good solution for you. Where this stands up to against those other two, I think the EcoHitch is going to have a slight advantage because it is going to have a little bit higher weight capacities. So if you have larger bike racks or plan on using some heavier cargo carriers, things of that nature, this one would probably be better suited for that. Seems like there's two really popular questions when it comes to putting a trailer hitch on the RAV4. One of them is a hitch going to be compatible with hybrids? And with the EcoHitch, the answer is yes. Perfect example today, we have a hybrid model, went up without any issues, but it'll work with the standard gasoline engine models as well. So you're covered there. And a lot of people wonder if the hands-free liftgate assist will still operate if your vehicle is equipped with that feature. Unfortunately today, ours is not equipped, so can't really test it out. But from past experience, usually you can get them to work. You know, you're just gonna have to kick your foot to either side of that receiver tube opening until you find that sweet spot. And like I said, usually you get them to open up. This is gonna have a 2" by 2" receiver tube opening, which is a good thing. Really common size, so a lot of stuff will work with it. It'll use that standard 5/8 pin and clip. One doesn't come included with the hitch. If you need one, not a big deal. Grab it here at eTrailer. A lot of times too, if you end up buying a new accessory, they'll come with one, so something to look out for there. And if you plan on leaving an accessory in here all the time, might not be a bad idea to upgrade to a locking hitch pin. That way it'll stay secure to your hitch. The safety chain openings, I actually think they're kind of cool. A little bit different style than a lot of the other hitches. They hang straight down. The openings are relatively large. I think it gives it a more clean look when you're looking at it from the back here. And you should be able to use just about any size hook that your trailer might have on. As far as the weight capacities go, the hitch is going to have a 525-pound maximum gross tongue weight rating. So that's the amount of weight pushing down on the hitch. Pretty high number. Should be able to use just about any size bike rack or cargo carrier that you'd want to, for example. As far as the maximum gross trailer weight rating goes, that's going to be 3,500 pounds, or the amount of weight that is pulling on the hitch. That's the weight of a trailer plus anything you might have in or on it. I do always like to recommend though, it's always a good idea just to grab your Toyota's owner's manual. That way you can check in there and make sure your RAV4 can handle that much weight safely. We'll grab a couple measurements now, and these will help you figure out what type of accessories will work best. So you go from the ground to the top inside edge of the receiver tube opening, taking into account the lift that we're parked on. That's going to be about 13 inches. If you plan on doing any towing, you can probably get a ball mount that has a rise in the shank. That 2 to 4 inch range probably work best for most people. As far as bumper clearance goes, if you go from the center of the hitch pin hole to the edge of the rear bumper, that's going to be about 4.5 inches, which is pretty good. So you shouldn't really run into too many issues here, but if need be, you can use that to help figure out exactly if any of those folding style accessories you might have can be stored upright without hitting the back of your Toyota. At the end of the day, a pretty nice hitch. You know, if you're looking for a really clean appearance, and something that has high capacities, really can't go wrong with this one. And not to mention too, it's made from recycled materials, so that's always a bonus as well. As far as the installation goes, really not too bad. There's a lot of steps, but they're all pretty easy. Kind of small steps that you have to do to kind of make room just to get the hitch up into place. But more or less, once you have that done, it bolts right up. So it shouldn't really give you too many issues and take up a bunch of your time. But if you're gonna do this yourself, feel free to hang around. We'll go ahead and get started on it now. To begin our installation, we're gonna be underneath the back of our RAV4. And the first thing that we need to do is remove these underbody panels here in the middle. So you're gonna have 5 push pin fasteners on each one. And the way to get these removed, you can take a flathead screwdriver and pry underneath the head of the fastener. Once you kind of release the head there, should be able to work the whole thing out. I'm just going to work my way around until we get all of them removed. Let's get the last one out. This will drop down. You can set it to the side and do the same thing to get this one removed. On the driver's side, we'll have another underbody panel and 2 push pins here at the back. I'll do that same technique here to get those removed. And then on this side of the panel in the front, we're going to have another fastener. This fastener will be a 10mm head nut. We'll remove that and lower the panel down and out of her way. Still over here on the driver's side, we're going to have this tow hook, and we'll need to remove it. So we have 2 17mm head bolts. We need to lower our exhaust now to give us some room to work and allow us to get the hitch in place. Prior to doing that, I like to take a strap and just run it from side to side. That way the exhaust will have a little support and we can help control how fast and how far we let it come down. You're gonna have 2 rubber isolator hangers holding the exhaust up that'll look just like this. And I like to spray them down with soapy water or some type of lubricant. Then you can just work the exhaust back and forth to help loosen it up. Then you come back with a pry bar or even a big screwdriver and work one end of that hanger off from the exhaust system. Just by removing that one hanger, the system came down quite a bit, and I think we'll have sufficient room to work with. If need be, if we figure out later that we need a little more space, we can always come back and do the same thing on this one here to let it come down even further. We'll have this piece of metal coming off of the exhaust, and we're going to remove it. That way it's not in our way. So we have 2 12mm head bolts. I'll get them out, and then we can get this piece removed. Now we can remove a sensor that's located right behind our bumper in this area. Depending on what your vehicle is equipped with, you might have an additional sensor. It might look a little bit different, just depending if you have that kick sensor, that hands-free liftgate assist. Ours doesn't, but I believe this is for our keyless entry. So, like I said, it's right behind here, and we'll have to get it removed. Here's what the sensor looks like, and it's going to be held in place with 2 10mm head nuts. Once you get both of those off, you can drop it down like that. We're going to remove this bracket from the sensor, and on each end, you're just going to have a Phillips head screw. Get that removed, and then we'll just kind of tuck this up out of our way. That way it's not just hanging down. You need to trim our fascia. There is a diagram and instructions that you can reference. And when you do this, just make sure you don't have any wiring or anything behind here. I like to use a multi-tool, but you can use a Dremel tool, utility knife, pair of snips, whatever you got. And we'll get this trimmed out here. If you want to, you can always come back with a file or utility knife and smooth out some of these rough edges. As far as the attachment points go, on our vehicle, they're going to be the same on each side. And whatever we do to this side, we'll also do to the other because it'll be set up the same way. But we'll have this hole as well as this one here. And since they're threaded weld nuts, I do suggest spraying some penetrating oil in there and cleaning out the threads. You can use a tube brush like this. Just get any dirt or debris out of there. If your vehicle, if these are really dirty or have rust built up in them, and you're having a hard time getting the hardware started, you might have to use something like this. This is called a tap. And when you run this up through there, more or less it recuts the threads and makes them like brand new again. If you need to use this, the size that you're gonna need to pick up is at M12 by 1.25. In our case, our frame's pretty clean, so don't really need to worry about that. But the hardware combination that we'll use, so once our hitch is up there, you're gonna have this bolt, then you put on a split lock washer, then you'll have this washer here that's a bit smaller in diameter, put that on, and then this larger one. So these will go up through the hitch and thread into those weld nuts. Now if you can have someone give you a hand with this part, it makes it much easier. But what we're gonna do is gonna line this up and peel back on our fascia a little bit. And the hitch will rest in behind it. Line up the holes in the hitch, like the holes in our frame rail. Take that hardware combination that we talked about earlier and get them started hand tight. Once the hardware is in place and hand tight, you want to center the hitch because it can slide from side to side. And so I've done that. And once we're happy with it, we'll come back with a 19mm size socket and snug the hardware down. You want to make sure now to come back with a torque wrench and tighten down all the hardware to the amount specified in the instructions. And took that sensor that we removed. They give you some sticky tape that you can place on the back of it and stuck it to the cross tube on our hitch here. When you use that type of adhesive, make sure that your surface is going to be clean and dry so you can wipe everything down with some rubbing alcohol or something. Let it dry. That way it'll promote proper adhesion. At this point, you can rehang your exhaust the opposite way that you lowered it. I just sprayed it down again, and you can push some hangers right back on by hand. And now that it's supported again, we'll get our strap out of the way. The passenger side panel, if you go to reinstall this, it is going to interfere with the hitch. And so I just marked out a small portion there. That way it'll clear. I'll go ahead and use my multi-tool to get it trimmed out. The With this panel done, you can go ahead, reinstall it the opposite way that we removed it. For the driver's side, that one you don't need to trim or anything, just simply reinstall it. As far as this panel goes, over here on the driver's side, you can leave it off or you can trim it out. You know, you can kind of just eyeball it and cut where you need to. It looks like if you were to do that, you'll probably just have a couple fasteners holding this on. So it's entirely up to you. The owner of this car said, don't even worry about it, just leave it off. So that's exactly what we're gonna do. But like I said, you can get this back in place if you do cut a little bit of this material out. With all that wrapped up though, that will complete our look at and our installation of the EcoHitch Trailer Hitch Receiver on our 2018 Toyota RAV4.